everybody, my name is Joshua Paul. I'm the owner of the Chick-Fil-A Arden Fair. I've been the owner here since 2012, and during that time I've done tons and tons of job interviews. So today's video is going to be about how to get past that job interview hurdle. Now at some point during this speech you're going to hear how you can win a $100 gift card. You're going to go to Real Manhood 101 on Instagram and you're going to leave a comment with the hashtag, which is coming up, you'll find out here in a few minutes, and you'll get a chance to win $100. So make sure you look for what that hashtag needs to be. It'll be towards maybe the middle of the end of the video, so you actually got to watch it. Well, it looks like my first interview candidate's walking in. Let's see. Oh, look, right on time. And as you can see, he's dressed for success. We have a belt, we have a great pair of shoes on there. His shirt is neatly done. Doesn't have too much jewelry on there because you want him to be the main attention, not jewelry. He's wearing real light cologne, so it's not distracting. Boy, he's ready for a great interview. So we're about to give an example of what to do during the interview. Something that's really important to remember is speak slowly and clearly, because sometimes when you're nervous, people can start talking really fast and then you sound like this and then people don't know what you're saying. So just make sure you speak clearly and keep your answers short and sweet. Because sometimes people start talking and you'll talk your way out of a job. The idea is if I ask you a question, give me a very short version of the answer. So, Josh, thanks for coming in for your interview.
Absolutely.
Hey, can you give me an example of your greatest strength?
I would say it's probably the teamwork that I have while I'm at school and in sports.
Hey, Josh, thanks for coming in for your interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, give me an example of your greatest strength.
I would say working with people in like school projects and larger groups in sports.
Absolutely. So can you tell me an example of your greatest strength?
I would say I love to help my parents work around their house. I love to go get involved and do a lot of volunteer work as well.
We're going to move on to our next question. The next question is going to be about the greatest weakness. The real important thing is one, you want to be honest, but then you also don't want to make sure you do what we call a fake great weakness. Like where you say, oh, well, I'm just overcommitted to my job, or I just work too hard for my employer. Because those are going to be obvious answers that aren't really a weakness and people see right through that. So we're about to give an example of what a great answer for a weakness would be. Hi Josh, can you give me an example of your greatest weakness?
Yeah, this is actually my first job, so I don't have a lot of work experience. I'm actually kind of nervous for it, but I'm excited for the opportunity.
Hey Josh, can you give me an example of a weakness?
I would say I lack a little bit of confidence, but once I get the right training, the possibilities are endless from there.
Oh, that's great. The next common questions they'll be asked is, why do you want to work for me? That's specifically, why do you want to work for that company? So something to think about is before you do your interview, spend 5 minutes on Google. Learn what the company sells. Learn what days are they open, what times are they open. And that way when they ask this question, you'll be able to give an answer that's clear that you know about the company and you have an experience with the company. And we're going to give another example with Josh. Hey Josh, why do you want to work for me?
I absolutely love our chicken sandwiches, and the culture around Chick-Fil-A is absolutely amazing.
Hey Josh, why do you want to work here?
Because I absolutely love the clothes that you guys sell. I look forward to hopefully getting the employee discount on the clothes. That way I can stock up my closet even more.
And you can see both these examples. He showed that he truly loves the company. He loves the product. He complimented us. He talked about a wonderful atmosphere. So not only is he talking about why he wants to work here, but he's also letting us know that he thinks we do a great job. And again, it's all about first impressions. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, what kind of training will I receive? When would be a good day or time to be able to follow up about my potential employment with you guys?
And on both those answers, you notice one thing you don't want to say is, well, how much am I getting paid? Or anything with a negative connotation, because you want everything to be positive. So in both those answers he gave, one was already like what kind of training, so he's interested in the role and wants to know if he can do anything to prepare beforehand. And on the other answer, it's just politely asking, should I call? Are you going to call me? And it's just a great way to ask that question so you can leave knowing whether or not you're going to hear something. Because some companies don't call people back and say no. So it's good to know from them, well, if you don't hear something by Friday, then you didn't get the job. So that way you at least have some closure of knowing when and where. And so once the interview's over, and with a good handshake. And obviously we live in times with COVID, so sometimes you're not in person. So remember, for Zoom interviews, a lot of these things still apply, but make sure you're smiling, you're enthusiastic, you're happy to be there, because sometimes you're nervous, and so sometimes people look like this and they talk robotic. That's not what we're looking for. You want someone that's excited to be there, and it's almost like you just can't wait to find out. Even if you don't get this opportunity, you're just excited for the practice of a job interview. Even if you don't get the job, you have more experience under your belt. And that's really what they're looking for. Remember, it's all about first impressions, because you oftentimes only get one time for the manager to meet with you when they're doing the interview. Well, our second candidate was supposed to be here about 10 minutes ago. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it's coming now. So one thing about this candidate we'll notice is his shirt's not tucked in, his blue jeans are dirty, his shirt's a little bit sloppy, and it's one of these things where he kind of came here like this wasn't really a priority for him. And he might be a brilliant candidate, but we had two candidates that came, one that was dressed for success and one that's not. And on first impressions, and you only get one first impression, the other one's gonna have the lead. So if I'm stuck and they both did a great interview and I'm not sure which one to hire, it may be the guy that came better dressed that ends up getting selected. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. I hope you learned something. And if you've been waiting for that hashtag, you're gonna go to R.E.A.L Manhood 101 on Instagram, and you're gonna make a comment and hashtag FUTUREKINGS. Hashtag FUTUREKINGS, and you get a chance to win a $100 gift card. So go over what we learned today. Remember, speak slowly and clearly. Be on time for the interview. Because one time I showed up to an interview and I was early, and I was waiting in the parking lot, and I accidentally dumped an entire cup of coffee all down my white shirt. And luckily I was early and I was able to go change shirts and still be on time for the interview. Sometimes life happens and we don't expect it. So if you're early, it gives you a little extra time just in case. When you're answering questions, keep them short and sweet, and make sure that you just don't go on a bunny trail or lose your thought because you're trying to give too big of an answer. Just answer the question in a very short way, but very clearly, and you're smiling and you're enthusiastic. You want to make sure they know that you want to be there, that you want to be a part of their team, and this is a wonderful opportunity. Even if this wasn't your first choice to have a job where you wanted your job to be, it's still a job for you to get employment, for you to get to experience. So even if it's not necessarily your first choice, you don't want them to know that. You want to smile and be ready to go for your job. And lastly, if you want that extra edge, send a handwritten thank you note and just put a postage stamp on it, their address, and mail it the old-fashioned way. You'd be surprised how many candidates I've had. I've only had a few do it, but the few that did, it always stuck with me and really made me rethink about them. Because everything's about first impressions. And unfortunately, the bad thing about first impressions is you oftentimes only get one chance. And so you want to make sure you put your best foot forward, and that's why it's so important to be able to look nice and look right for the part and look right for the role that you're going for. Thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it.